Hello and welcome back to RimWorld. We are continuing our playthrough here of our Elven tribe, who currently are doing very un-Elven-like things, like chopping down a bunch of wood from a forest. But these are necessities, just because we have to take advantage of the time we have up front to get a base built out and harvest as much wood as possible so that in the future we won't have to do that as much or theoretically at all. So we do have our first Garanlin sprout. We can go ahead and issue a command to harvest that. We are kind of breaking down some of the walls and everything. Now, the other thing is we can't kill animals unless they attack us first. So, I foresee, perhaps more issues. We'll probably be able to kill, a panther or two, or we might go out of our way to try to aggravate a panther or two, specifically so that we can kill it and not get a penalty for it. But outside of that, I don't think we'll be doing much animal killing this game either. So, what are we trying to work on right now? Well, there's a couple things. One is we need a research bench, and to get that, we need steel. So we should look around the map and see if there's any immediately available steel, and there is a little here. We're bad at mining, but we can still do it. So I think we do need to kind of prioritize getting some steel so we get this research bench built so that we can start making beds and get things kind of all squared away. Okay, so we do have our first raid here, and they do have a gun, which in a way is a little frightening, but at the same time, I'm not as concerned, simply because we can just hide inside our building here. Speaking of which, we do need to do a little zoning and making sure that we have the appropriate stuff. So let's mark area 1 as all of this space. I'll change the name at some point, but let's just make sure our animals are part of area 1 and our workers are also part of area 1. We just want to make sure nobody isn't in area 1. Where is the raid currently? Still up here, kicking around. All right, so we got a little time. They have a pistol, or they have a gun. Some of our colonists have like knives and stuff, so I'm not too worried about this. This is going to pass rather quickly, and I think we will ultimately be fine. They'll come in here and get killed by the traps, but we do have to keep an eye on wealth for future raids. And now we're facing a little bit of starvation, so hopefully we can fix that issue once this raid subsides. Our rice plants are getting close to being grown, so hopefully in the future we will be past the worst of it. Let's unrestrict everybody now that that person has died, and they can go back to doing whatever work they needed to do, including harvesting some crops. So anyway, I'm hoping the rice gets done relatively quickly, because then we can go ahead and harvest it and be a little less concerned about our current food situation where everybody is constantly in a state of near starvation. This person is staggeringly ugly, a wimp, they're delicate, they are bleeding out, and I think I'm just going to let that happen. I don't think I'm going to go out of my way to try to prevent that. So we have some wood chopped down and prepped, although I have a feeling, so this goes by quadrums, and we ravaged a ton of trees when we first got here. We're probably still going to have to ravage another bunch of trees, but I'm hoping after that we can kind of scale back a little bit. Mostly because I think we're going to end up paving a lot of this in so it doesn't grow trees, although I'm kind of mixed on that because it's not just a detriment to harvest trees, but we actually we gain a benefit by being around trees. So maybe I don't want to do that. Maybe I just want to have them be able to walk through trees. Because if we look at this, there is no tree. I haven't been around trees in a while. That, oh, rich forest. Here we go. It just changed over rich forest because they've been walking around in the trees. So um, that's kind of what I want more than the negative. We did. Oh, apparently we harvested the human meat from them, which is good. I probably should have stripped them and got the duster and everything, but I didn't really think about that at the time. That does remind me we do need to make a dumping zone, and the best spot for this is likely in the river because it's going to give us some extra uh, degradation. It'll make things just kind of fall apart quicker. So let's go ahead and set this as a preferred priority. And we want to make sure we do corpses. Specifically, we want not animal corpses. We want, well, I guess animal corpses too, and human-like corpses. But I only want rotten. I don't want fresh. And I think that's fine. That doesn't solve clothing. I feel like we still have to have another zone for clothing. So let's go ahead and set up another dumping zone. Maybe we'll put it down here. I kind of want to stick to the water just to make sure that it's, getting the right stuff. We'll set this preferred. I don't want it like leaking over into the land and then some of it's not decaying as fast as other stuff. And I do want to put like apparel and weapons. I want non-smeltable. Yeah, I think ranged melee. Yeah, non-smeltable weapons. I don't care about burnable. And then I want tainted apparel only, not clean apparel. And I think that's fine. So that should only put tainted apparel and weapons that can't be melted down. All right, here we are getting some marble blocks. Here's some steel. So this might come even quicker than the mining that we set up over here. And that can help get this research bench. I really want to get research up and running specifically for the purpose of being able to like make beds and have something a little better over here. I should also, now that I'm thinking about it, not just, I don't want the temperature to go up, but I do want lighting. So am gonna have to put a torch lamp probably over here next to this research bench so that they work a little bit quicker. All right, here we go. We finally have a campfire up and running. Simple meal is productions on the menu. We do have a fair amount of rice available, so hopefully this will go relatively quick. Herbal medicine. I don't know where this all came from. Maybe we started with it and they're just finally bringing it over here, but having 20 herbal medicine to start is actually pretty nice. Let's see what happens here. So everybody's got like pretty good planting skills, so I think that'll be fine. Research wise, what do we want to focus on first? I'm thinking we probably want to focus on smithing because it's a prerequisite to, well, no, before that, I want complex furniture. I want complex furniture, maybe even complex clothing, just to get some of that up and running. Oh, look at that. They're getting married. How nice. All right, so we got a little marriage action going on there. Does anybody have a high priority of research? It doesn't look like it. I do want to set that kind of a higher priority. I want somebody to take the time to start doing some researching. We do have a little bit of money here. Kind of hope somebody eventually hauls that inside. We certainly aren't spending enough time cooking. Who's our cook? Daichi? Alright, there we go. We got some cookage going on here. I think what we're gonna want to do here is set this to drop on floor rather than take to the best stockpile, just to make that cooking process a little bit quicker. Probably a better choice overall. Schedule looks good. Everything else looks pretty good so far. We are training the animals to be able to haul, which is kind of nice. World-wise, let's take a look on the map. We do have a hostile faction here. And one there, and one there, and we have a neutral one here. So we could potentially send somebody over here to do some trading. And I think that is probably going to be in the cards at some point relatively soon. Although I don't have too many resources to trade at the moment. It's mostly just food and a little bit of wood, which is heavy. I can't really haul a bunch of that around. But yeah. So productivity looks like it's going pretty well. I'm less concerned about the imminent starvation, and I'm more focused now on making sure our productivity is happening, which I believe it is. Yeah, let's see what's going on here. All right. So people are eating actual meals now. Not completely, because we're not producing them super quick, but that is going to ultimately get rid of the 8 raw food debuff, just to keep the mood higher. And we could see some of the moods are already, coming up higher in the on the spectrum here. So I'm hoping at some point we get out of ugly environment entirely, and eventually that tree's ravaged will go away, and then we're looking at a much better morale situation than we're currently facing. But we'll have to see how that goes. We did get some cargo pods. Looks like some hyper weave dropped. I will immediately trade that, just because that adds a lot of wealth, and I don't want that. And it adds some other, well, it adds a lot of wealth is the big issue. I want to be able to trade that wealth for something that's a little more relevant. I can't actually use it right now, so it's not functionally relevant to me. So I'd rather get the money for it and be able to use the money to buy something a little bit better. All right, so this quest, guards were killed, is followed by a single man-hunting hare. I think we could definitely handle that. Let's see, who do we want to be our person? I think we want Marta. We want somebody with the ascetic trait, just because they will not have to have fancy clothing or a bedroom or anything like that. So I think we'll accept it with Marta. It kind of makes the nobility aspect of it a lot better. So let's go ahead and accept that. Hunter lacks ranged weapons, so yeah, that's fine. That's just a random person. Man-hunting hare is very angry and on the way. I think all you have to do is literally come into here, and you should be perfectly fine. So let's go ahead and have you stand in there, and the hare should go hit a trap, and the problem is solved. So that was a really quick and easy quest. I don't think they're like joining the colony, right? All right, get in the shuttle. You're out of there. There we go. We got a freeholder. That was really really quick and easy. So that's good to have. Um, we did not. Did we harvest this? Okay, we harvested it, but we didn't actually plant the Granlin seed. So I think I'm going to ultimately want these to be in the larger base, but not all the way, like outside of here. So I think I'm going to try to clear out some of this area here, and then we're going to put something there. Um, ah, it got dirty in here, and that caused a bunch of people to get food poisoning. That is less than ideal, and I do want to kind of move. I'm kind of hoping we can get this complex furniture built so I can start cleaning up this area as a whole. What do we have as far as flooring goes? Do we start with the ability to make anything? No, we can't do concrete or anything, so she is cleaning. I think maybe we should build a couple stools for eating. Let's go ahead and set that up. I probably should take the time to destroy these vehicles. Let's go ahead and draft. And let's just get in here and destroy. It's just gonna clean up the inside a little more. I hope I don't get hit by my own teammates here. As soon as this is done, I'll undraft and let them go back to, being angry about stuff. So I wish that she would spend a little more time on. Uh-oh. I hope they're just walking by. Why is that set to deconstruct? I do not want to bust into that wall. That would have been really, really kind of bad. I'm glad we caught that. I have a feeling that would have been very problematic. Okay, so now this rice is ready to harvest, and that means the rice growing is kind of spaced out a little bit. Like, we weren't completely out, but we were running low. And as we were running low, we now have another batch ready to harvest. So things are kind of on a rotation at this point, and that's good, because that theoretically means as long as we're consistent with harvesting and planting the rice, we should meet our quota, so to speak, to make sure that that production happens consistently and nobody should be starving. I wish there was a little higher prioritization on the cooking part, and I'm not really sure why Daichi is not focusing on cooking. Probably because he's just always starving. So I feel like I need to maybe force some cooking to go on. And maybe that will break the cycle of everybody being constantly hungry and not eating enough nutrition. So hopefully we get a couple meals cooked here, and then I can refocus on yeah, there we go. His cooking's getting a little better. I do ultimately need to get like a proper kitchen set up and do all that. Let's go ahead and consume a simple meal on that character so that we are not starving to death, and then we can kind of refocus on making sure we're getting kind of not just caught up, but kind of ahead of the game on cooking a little bit here. So the other thing, we are focusing on making recurve bows. We currently have 3 characters that I think just have melee, and I think I ultimately want to. Why are the I guess we'll take those out of there. I wasn't sure why they're putting those in the trash. Okay, so we got some good recurve bows. I do want to make sure we equip those. There we go. So if we get everybody with a ranged weapon, that's going to be really useful for when we get raided. I know right now this is just a normal one, but I think the recurves are better than a standard bow, so we'll go ahead and keep going with that. We almost have the research done for complex furniture, which means we can build proper beds. We don't have to sleep on the floor. We can start kind of cleaning up some of this stuff. I don't know exactly what tech. Maybe it's stone cutting. Yeah, stone cutting gets us concrete, so we can kind of fill in. Maybe I'll do stone cutting next, because I just kind of want to fill this all in and, not have that as a separate thing anymore, where it's like low quality and dirty and people walking all over it. I want to be able to consolidate everything into here as much as possible, have a nice proper barracks. So let's go ahead and build some beds. I do want to build at least one double bed because we have a married couple now, right? So I do think we need to put a little bit of effort into that. Is Marta our builder? She is. All right, so we got good bed, normal bed, good bed, and good bed. So somebody potentially gets screwed with the normal bed, but outside of that, should be okay. All right, so what is next on the docket that we need to worry about? I do like the idea, because there are animals on the map, we can't kill them, but can we tame them? And I would like to tame at least a couple alpacas, and the main reason for that is when I go to travel, that will count as, I don't think they count as um like a horse would for transport, but they can carry weight and you could add more stuff on the caravan. So for that purpose alone, I think it's worth having a couple of them kicking around. That does mean we will have to build some sort of enclosure for them, but I think it's probably worth doing. The good news is they are frequent on this type of map, so even if all the current ones like wander away or whatever, it's not an immediate concern. Now, see, we are almost entirely out of rice again, and we now have another patch of rice that's, ready to harvest and or getting ready to harvest. So the timing is pretty good. It's kind of crazy that this much rice on mostly fertile soil is barely enough to sustain 5 pawns. Longer term, that might be a little bit problematic. I think I'm going to issue some harvest command just to get some more resources gathered up. And I think if I'm hoping the food situation gets a little better in the future, mainly because I want to be able to build a proper kitchen with some shelving units just to reduce the downtime. And we will have faster cooking times with a proper stove instead of a campfire. And I think ultimately that's going to end up being a better solution for us. And speaking of which, I think it's time to go ahead and build that stove. Looks like 80 steel, which is pretty significant. But I think we'll be okay. Sheep wool, that could be used for tailoring. Although I don't feel like we have proper tailoring set up at this point, but that is on the relatively near research horizon. So I think after stone cutting is done, we can focus on complex clothing and get something better than tribal wear to get us by, if at least temporarily. Okay, a low psychic drone kind of is bad, just because it's gonna make it even harder to recover from some of these situations we have going on. I just wish a little more effort was put into cooking. So the one downside I'm seeing with a heavily genetically modified custom race, There's xenotype is that metabolic efficiency, the hunger rate is brutal. I mean, you need so much food just to sustain, but it's not just the quantity of food, it's how much time you have to invest in gathering the food, cooking the food, all that. Like it's just so much more than a regular colony. And I think it will get better as time goes on. People gain more skills and our setup becomes more efficient. But up front, at least at the beginning, they're barely making any meaningful progress at first, just because so much time is spent gathering resources, cooking it, and eating and sleeping. So there's just so much need for balancing that all out that it's pretty significant. I don't think we can really understate how impactful those things are. I do, since we have the ability, and we're still facing a -20 penalty. I do want to take the time to start chopping some more of these trees down. And I wonder why we're not planting more of this fiber corn. I would have thought by now we would have. Oh, I told it not to do that. Okay, that makes sense. Okay, so let's cancel chopping. I don't want to cut that stuff down. So fiber corn will be the big way we get we get wood going forward. I did make a mistake. I forgot that I had told it not to plant. So we kind of lost out on some time that we could have been planting this, but that will be a more consistent resource for us to get wood. And I think that's, kind of important to do. So once we get the fiber corn up and running, I think we won't really have to chop too many trees anymore, just because we'll have a consistent way to get wood into our production cycle. So the other thing to go along with this, now that we are kind of getting not a ton, but a fair amount of wood. Let me just copy this real quick. I do think we should take the time to get that out of there. We should take the time to start building some of these walls out. I know we're still kind of focusing on our main little defense here, but ultimately we need to get this bigger structure built and get this defense situation built here. That still doesn't solve against sappers or like super large raids, but it does at least start the conversation, right? It starts moving in that direction. And we're not going to have super large raids right away, so I'm not overly worried about it, but I do think we need to start building up some defenses, because, if Randy does anything, it is get rather aggressive with us. So, all right, there we go. We got stone cutting sorted out. Now we're working on complex clothing. We never did build an alpaca pen, but we did tame an alpaca, so I think we should probably put a little bit of effort into that. Now the question is, do I want to keep it inside or do I want to put it outside the gate? And I think I do want to put it outside the gate, at least for now. Just because I think we ultimately are going to end up filling up the inside of this and probably even more. But this will at least get it started. I do want to make sure to put a pen marker down. I get that the current alpaca we tamed might wander away, and that's okay. I can live with that. I just want to make sure that we have something in the future where we can kind of comfortably hold it. Ideally, it'll be on terrain where grass grows, and we won't have too many of them, so we can actually have grass. All right, let's take a look. Rare thrombos. We're not going to do anything with those. We are way too weak and way too new at all this to handle this. Okay. They want to stay for 19 days. That is way too many days, and I don't know if down the road they're going to betray me. So I think we're just going to go without them. Yeah, possible future reward. What is that? You know, nothing meaningful. So, all right, I think I'm going to put the cut in here for today. So we made a little bit of progress. We moved our primary cooking indoors to a fueled stove. So we're actually making, we're more efficient at cooking. We have our fiber corn up and running. We're going to have to chop some more trees down, get a pen up and running. We had our first raid, and, you know, it was a single person, but we did defend against it just fine. So I'd say overall things are, you know, moving in the right direction. And we got a couple things of research done. So I think, you know, we're on the path to a successful start. We'll just have to see kind of where it goes in the future. Thank you for watching. If you liked the video, please consider hitting the like button and subscribing to the channel to see more content in the future. And we will catch you in the next one.